Chapter 11. It's the day of Hoop Group's tryouts, and Tamika is running late. She stayed past the final bell to talk to her pre-algebra teacher, and now has to sprint to the gym. She arrives huffing and puffing, not wanting to make a bad first impression with any newcomers, but when she hits the court, she sees only Anthony and Dex sitting on the bleachers. Her feet stop, and her spirit drops. "Good afternoon, Tamika," Principal Kim says from her chair into the corner of the gym. "It appears as though these two gentlemen are your only participators today." Tamika doesn't understand. She just knew that after the cafeteria scene between Anthony and Chris, some of the other kids would have shown up just to see what New Hoop Group was all about. If nothing else, the dozens of signs Principal Kim let her post in the school's hallways should have led at least a handful of new kids to the gym. Truthfully, Tamika had been holding out hope that some of Carter Middle's football and baseball players would show up. She knew she'd have to work overtime to get them to speed and teach them some basketball basics, but she was willing to do that. At least they'd be athletic, though, and pick the game up quickly. Instead, she was left with two of the least coordinated kids in the whole school. Tamika plops down on one of the lower bleachers and buries her head into her hands. Sensing her disappointment, Principal Kim pulls her chair over and sits directly in front of the three kids. "I'd like to do an exercise with you guys," Principal Kim says. "I want us to take a moment, close your eyes, and just listen. No one is going to be talking, so we won't be listening to each other. This is just a moment to listen to ourselves and really understand the issue that weighs heavily on our hearts so that we can find the best, most authentic solution." Tamika looks first at Dex and Anthony, who are already lowering their heads, closing their eyes, then back at Principal Kim. "This is a joke, right? I don't understand what you're doing here. My heart's not saying anything, and I don't have anything to listen to." "Now, Tamika," Principal Kim says calmly, with a smile, "we both know that's not true. I saw the look on your face when you walked into the gym. There's a lot going on inside you, and I want you to just take a few minutes to tap into that." Tamika rolls her eyes, but then closely and reluctantly. Moments later, she hears music coming from what she assumes Principal Kim's cell phone. Not long after that, she feels herself drawn by the lyrics. "There's no way you can win. Just have strength to begin again, and through troubles beside you, there's nothing you can't do." Tamika doesn't know the song, but her body is instinctively rocking and driving with the drum beat in the chorus of the powerful voices. Once the music ends, Principal Kim tells the kids to open their eyes again. Tamika feels equally emboldened and confident. Yes, her heart feels stretched towards endless possibility, but she is so firmly grounded in reality, and with everything seeming to go wrong, with the basketball, with her dad, with being optimistic, nearly impossible. Now Principal Kim says, her smile wider than ever. "I want you to tell me what this song meant to you and how you think it applies to your life. Who wants to share first?" Tamika looks over and surprised to see Anthony raises his hand. So I think everybody knows that I've been dealing with a lot of stuff at home, and it's really hard to be positive about everything, and most of the time, sometimes I just don't know if things will ever get better. Anthony looks up at the Principal Kim, whose grinning face encouraging him to keep on talking. So the song really meant a lot to me, because I think that even if it seems like you can't win, it's not always the case. And I really feel that way about Hoop Group. I obviously can't quit or anything, but I'm glad I'm on this team. I mean, I know we don't technically have a team right now, but I've learned a lot, and I'm really beginning here really has helped me take my mind off of other stuff. Principal Kim is nodding and so forcefully that Tamika is sure her head is going to pop off her body like broken bobblehead doll. When she's certainly happy for Anthony's breakthrough, she's a little upset that her hoop group practice is hijacked by this impromptu group therapy session. It appears as though she's the only one upset, however, before she can shift the conversation to just a new recruitment strategy. Dex raises his hand and jumps in. I know you're upset that more people didn't come, she says, turning to Tamika. But it's okay. We just have to keep going. Just like the song says, we can still make the hoop group. With this, Tamika stands up, her eyes wide in expression. Make hoop group what, Dex? We can't make hoop group anything without an actual hoop group. And we can't have hoop group if we don't have any players. I mean, y'all let that little song get y'all hype up, but trust and believe. Thinking positive thoughts isn't going to save this program. She stops and sighs. Maybe Chris was right. Maybe it's just a waste of time. No, Anthony says, jumping from his seat. Chris was completely wrong, and you know that. He waits a beat, and then, with pleading voice, he says, you told me that this season would be the best hoop group season ever, and I believed you. Anthony and Tamika exchange brief glances before Dex jumps in. Yes, he says, it'll be the best. I know, I'm not super fast or big. I'm not really a good shooter either, but I know a lot about the game. I probably know more than any other 7th grader in all of Lorton. He pauses and smiles at Tamika, adds, outside of you, of course. Oh, really, Tamika says? Yeah, really. Ask me anything. I mean, I can show you how to run 2-3 zones with the other team. Tamika rolls her eyes and cuts him off. The problem with 2-3 zones is that you need 5 people. 2 plus 3 is 5. Dex, you got any advice on how to run a 3 zone? Or how to get us another 2? Embarrassed, Dex drops his head. I didn't mean to. No, Anthony says to him, lightly pushing his right shoulder. Don't apologize. There's nothing wrong with trying to come up with a plan. We can't give up on hoop group. Silence falls over the trio. Dex's eyes slide back and forth between Anthony and Tamika. He hesitates, then hesitates one more. Finally says, I have another idea. A good one. I'm listening, Tamika says. Dex adds a deep breath and locks eyes with Tamika. Okay, so hear me out. A lot of kids left because Coach Beck stepped down, right? Yeah, so? So, what if this program, what if, as part of the program, we can tell kids they'll get access to weekly coaching and training with Coach Beck, even though he won't be leading the actual team? Like, incentive for signing up? Anthony says, yeah, exactly. I mean, he wouldn't really be coaching, but lots of kids would probably come if they knew they were going to get one-on-one training with the same coach who developed Kendrick King. Anthony nods. That makes sense, but how are we supposed to get Coach Beck to agree to come back when none of us know him like that? Dex turns back to Tamika and waits as if passing the probable mic. She refuses to take it. Well, Dex says, pushing his own voice. Silence. Coach Beck. Coach Beck is Tamika's dad. Maybe she could ask. Tamika watches as if surprise flickers across Anthony's face. Then she watched as it turns into something else, something like distrust. It's not like she was going to try and keep a secret from the other players. She just didn't want to deal with the pressure of coming into a new school and being the daughter of the most famous youth basketball coach in the entire state. Part of her wants to say this to explain herself, but she doesn't. How did you know that he was my dad? She asked Dex instead. Dex shrugs. I found out by accident, really. I have a newspaper clipping and an article about an old hoop group champion. You must have been like 2 or 3 years old. I pulled it out last week after Coach Beck stepped down. I saw the name printed underneath the photo. Tamika Beck. Also, Dex said, your shooting form has Coach Beck written all over it. Tamika ignores Principal Kim, who is laughing quietly under her breath, and while she acknowledges Dex's detective work, she also refuses to commit, let alone commit to her ridiculous plan. She won't say as much to Dex or Anthony, but there's no way she's asking her dad for help. No way at all. She'll just have to figure out another way to rebuild Hoop Group.